familiar faces and some new faces on here. I don't want to talk a lot. This is all about Dr. Helms today, but I just want to give a quick intro to YLS and then also to her. So YLS, we're a group of professionals, young professionals, age 20 to 40. To be part of this group, it's basically, you know, with United Way, it's all about giving. So we give not only our time, but our money to United Way. So $1 a day gets you involved in the Young Leaders Society, and that gets you access to events like this. You know, I know COVID has kind of changed some of the ways we do things, but we're still looking at volunteer opportunities and making an impact on our community. That's what we're all about in our sector as young professionals, but also professional development, which is what Lunch with Leaders is all about. And you'll get to know more about that as we kind of go through this process and hear what Dr. Helms has to share with us. So any questions about YLS, please just, you know, shoot Savannah a chat, or me, or Landon, or some of the others that are on here, and we'll be glad to get you some more information on that. So as far as Dr. Helms goes, and she told me to refer to her as Marilyn, but with all these accreditations that I'm about to list, I can't really do that. So I'm just going to kind of read her bio, and hopefully most of these big words I can get out. So Dr. Marilyn M. Helms is the Dean, Sesquicentennial Endowed Chair and Professor of Supply Chain Management at Dalton State College's C. Lamar and Ann Wright School of Business in Dalton, Georgia, an AACSB accredited institution. That's just the first couple sentences. As Dean, Dr. Helms led the WSOB through a successful AACSB Business Program Accreditation Continuous Improvement Review in 2019. In addition, she coordinated the $10 million renovation and expansion of Gilliant Hall on the DSC campus, home of the WSOB. She works closely with the Dalton Innovation Accelerator and the Believe Greater Dalton Entrepreneurship Committee. She serves as judge for the area DIA pitch competitions and mentors nascent business startups. She's a member of the CHI Memorial Hospital Board of Directors. As far as her education and degrees and certificates, she holds a Doctorate of Business Administration degree and also an MBA and BBA from the University of Memphis. She's a Certified Production and Inventory Management Fellow, a Certified Integrative Resources Manager, Certified Logistic, Transportation and Distribution Fellow, and a Certified Supply Chain Professional Fellow of the American Production and Inventory Control Society. She also holds the Certified Quality Management Organizational Excellence from the American Society for Quality. And her research interests include supply chain management, entrepreneurship, and new venture creation. And one fun fact about her that she shared, her other claim to fame, she said, is her mom, Evelyn Helms, was a classmate of Elvis Presley. Savannah's going to throw up a picture. This is the picture you see on the screen is the class, 6th grade class at Millen Junior High School in Tupelo, Mississippi from 1947 to 1948. You can see Elvis is in color there, as well as her mother. So that's a pretty impressive resume. I don't really have a whole lot more that I can say about it. I'm going to let her share her story with us now.
Well, you know, you got to have Elvis on your resume somewhere, don't you? It's a good day with Elvis. And, you know, everybody likes to say their favorite slogans, but I get drugged to Memphis a lot because a lot of my family's still there. And my favorite is taking care of business in a flash. So that was Elvis's favorite saying. And I think it works well for the Wright School of Business as well. But thank you, Josh. And thank you, Savannah. My pleasure to be here with you, young leaders and friends today. And you know, we're enjoying Zoom in the time of COVID because I think we're getting a lot more professional development than maybe we had time for in the past. So I welcome this opportunity, and I thank you for spending your lunch hour with me. And I'll just tell you just a little bit about our accommodations in the time of COVID. So March the 13th, we went on lockdown of this year and went completely online. We had a week in there for faculty to get up to speed on all these technologies, and it was quite a steep learning curve. And so summer was also online. In the start of the fall semester, we've been a combination of hybrid, face-to-face, as we can social distance in our classrooms and online. So the faculty have adjusted marvelously. We've got a lot more tech support and computers, but there are always a little glitches where we're finding out that we probably need a standardized computer for the Wright School of Business to help with some downloading of software issues. We've even got some testing software. Who knew cheating has gone in the digital age? So we keep that to a minimum by locking down everybody's browser and using some software that'll tell us where you are and what you're up to. So we do that because we want to make sure we give our community partners the great graduates they expect. So the time of COVID's been a little different. Graduations moved online. Our Honor Society inductions were virtual. I've done so many tapings of late for new student orientation, new faculty orientation. So it's been a wild ride, but I think what we realize is this is sort of a sea change in higher education, in business, and in leadership. And one of the things I've been struggling with lately is how to have touch points with the people I report to and with the people that report to me. So we're doing a lot more meetings. The faculty were groaning. They said, why are we having 2 faculty meetings a month? And I said, well, I miss you and I miss seeing you. And their favorite joke, but this time, exactly this time last year, our accreditation team was here, and I thought as a leader that would be the worst thing I had to go through. Little did I know, right? Watch what you say, because it'll change. And we had weekly faculty meetings, and I bought the most bananas and oranges. Everybody was on some diet or were stressing, and we decided we need to eat more fruit. And one of my faculty told me yesterday that they're eating a lot more potassium tablets since I'm not around to hand them a banana for all those meetings. But we're in a nice new business building, and those of you in the community that haven't seen the expansion and remodeling of Ginolette Hall, we have a community room called the Biz Hub. We can separate the wall and make a nice business hub, and you can see all the traffic on I-75. And one of the things I do is I like to slip in there on Tuesday. They say Tuesday's our busiest day for the truck traffic in the Dalton area. So it looks out on I-75, and I have really seen the change in e-commerce brought about by the shift to COVID. So I enjoy looking at the transportation, and we work closely with the inland port. So you can kind of tell logistics and supply chain is my passion, along with business startups. But I'm sort of a reluctant leader. I appreciate you having me on, but I sort of have been tapped a couple of times, and they said, hey, how would you like to be the dean? No, I'm happy writing. I'm happy with my students. My happy place is if I can be in front of a group of smart students and help them learn the body of knowledge to be successful and watch them go on with their careers. But about this third time, they always sort of come for you when there's a change. And I realized that I was probably one of the ones who'd been around the longest and had about 20 years experience here, and I knew the accreditation was looming, and that good housekeeping seal of approval that we get from that accreditation was so important to me. I'd been here through the beginning when my colleagues started us on that journey, and I thought, okay, maybe it's time. A couple of my buddies I see on this video today pushed me a little bit too, and I said, okay, I've done all the Myers-Briggs, I've done all the DISC test. I'm really an introvert. I get my energy alone. I'm not supposed to be in this role, but I'm willing to do it because I know how important it is for the college and for the students and for the alumni. You don't want to have your alumni out there and you're now at a school that's lost accreditation. So I stepped out to do this, and I couldn't be happier in the role. I have such a nice group of faculty and students, but I think my path to this position where I am now started as a little kid. I'm a 3rd generation only child, and my mom had to bribe people to play with me because all I wanted to play was school. So I think I am in the right seat because I'm supposed to be an educator. That's probably what I've done since I could talk and boss the dolls around, and then later the playmates, because I've always been in school. I'm a 1st generation college student, though. Neither of my parents went to college, but they understood how important education was for me and encouraged me to go to school. And I always knew I wanted to be a teacher, but I didn't know a college professor until I got to college. I sort of didn't know that was in the set of some career you could be. And I was in college during the 80s, and we were in the midst of a horrible recession. My dad lost his job, found another one, and luckily my now husband, then boyfriend, helped support me a little bit, but it was a tough time and the job market was terrible. So I stayed in school. I was at the University of Memphis. I was living at home. So I stayed and got my master's degree. And one of the professors asked me, said, why don't you apply for an assistantship? That'll pay your tuition, which I desperately needed, and give you a job on campus and give you a stipend. And when I looked up stipend in the dictionary, I realized I was going to get paid. And I thought, wow, okay, I'll get paid to do something I probably would have done for free. So I worked with a professor named Marilyn, and she was such a mentor to me. She wrote the business communication text that was used all over the planet in business communication courses in colleges of business. And she was busy writing her book, and she'd send me to go give her tests, and she got busier and she sent me to class more, and they looked happy to see me. And I thought, wow, okay, well, maybe I didn't know this was a job in the past, but maybe I could do this. And so I watched her as she did her writing. She was publishing her book at the time, Another Revision, and I helped her edit that. And I thought, wow, I really like this. And then I thought, well, there's another degree, and I was fortunate enough to be in a big city and at a university that had a doctoral program. So in between there, I did an internship at FedEx. Federal Express is headquartered in Memphis, in their logistics department. And they were doing just-in-time inventory at the time. The just-in-time inventory, by the way, has caused all the paper towels and toilet paper shortages. So it has backfired just a little bit in the time of COVID. But at the time I thought, well, great, I'll do this internship. And I loved it. And I liked working at FedEx, but I knew higher ed was calling me in that doctoral program. And I thought, well, how can I make the best of both worlds? So I did my dissertation on my time at FedEx and looking at their implementation of just-in-time inventory. So that started me on the path to be interested in logistics and supply chain. And I got heavily involved with APICS, the Production and Inventory Control Society, and did their certifications. And today I'm on a committee with my former boss, Larry Etkin from UTC, and we write certification exam questions. So sort of, once I get involved with a group, apparently never leave it. So I like that side of the puzzle. And so I got my doctorate at University of Memphis and applied, and I got a job at University of Tennessee at Chattanooga. And I think that was one of the steps that really changed my life. I got in with a nice supportive group of faculty that mentored me. And that was my first time to ever live away from home. I lived at home during college because I was kind of poor. So that was my first venture into home ownership and a new job. So a lot of things happened. And I was kind of young because I went straight through. So I was 25 when I started teaching at UTC. And I always looked around and I thought, God, I'm the youngest person in the room. This is terrifying. But listen, if you live long enough, you look around, now I'm the oldest person in the room. So fast forward to that. But I so enjoyed my time at UTC and writing with my colleagues. But then the opportunity to come to Dalton State. Dalton had been a 2-year college, and with the lottery, you know, a lot more people were going to college and could get support through the Hope Scholarship. So in '99, Dalton transitioned to a 4-year institution, and business was their first degree. And I think I've always liked entrepreneurship and startups. So I liked this phase of the life cycle. So when they had an opening at Dalton State for an endowed chair, I thought, wow, I think this is where I'm called to be, because I like starting something new and creating from scratch. And I guess the other part of this backstory, my husband, Lee Tubbs, of 40 years, owns a pest control business. So I get to dabble in entrepreneurship until he slaps my hand and says, go away, I don't want to hear from you academic types anymore. So anyway, I sort of had a calling for entrepreneurship. So I like the stage of the life cycle. So in 2000, I joined the faculty at Dalton State College. So I've been here 20 years and watched so many transitions, the growth of the 4-year programs. We have a full slate of 6 degrees in the business school now, and a host of, we've got 11 minors, and growing like crazy before COVID, and lots of exciting things happening to us with the emphasis on logistics and the carpet industry here. So got a team of 24 faculty, and we use a lot of adjuncts or part-time faculty from the community, a lot of them from the carpet industry, who teach our students. We're placing students right and left in internships and full-time job. So what's nice to see is 20 years later, the alumni are now teaching for me, the ones that have gone on to get a master's degree, and they come back. Just before I came here to be with you guys, I was accepting a check from a alumni from BB&T Bank that gave us some scholarships for students. So that's nice to come full circle and see our students doing so successful in the job market and still supporting all the efforts we have. So after 20 years of bachelor's degree, we've got a lot of alumni out in the community, and many of them are still here. So I think that's the part of the job I like best, but I couldn't leave the teaching side. So I still teach a course. I teach our professional development course for juniors, where before COVID, we did a lot of volunteering, and we're very supportive of the United Way because our students volunteered 10 hours a semester for United Way groups, and mostly the Boys and Girls Club. So we believed if we helped those students learn about higher ed, that'd be a great segue for them to come to Dalton State. One of my marketing faculty members, Courtney Young, who we stole away from Double Cola in Chattanooga, and she's a marketing genius. There's not a MailChimp email she can't work, by the way. And her business communication class has done some work for a lot of your United Way agencies, Josh. They've done some communication campaigns and some media campaigns, and their expertise is, of course, social media and Hootsuite certified. So we still work with our community partners very closely, and United Way is, of course, one of our favorites. So we like giving back. We work with a lot of area organizations, and part of the goals for both our faculty and students are to be involved in the community, in civic and professional organizations as well. So I guess we've come full circle with that. And I still advise a handful of students because I think as a leader, you need to know what your faculty are doing. I just saw a commercial the other day about Walmart, and it's talking about their CEO, and he started at the bottom. A lot of companies have that. You got to start at the bottom and sort of work your way up. But I still want touch points with the students and know what they're thinking about and what they're worried about. And a lot of them end up in my office. I help them get those resumes and cover letters. I go through a stack of red pens. So anyway, I think students are my passion as a leader. But I don't want to talk the whole time. I want you to ask me some questions. I'm happy to answer anything from Elvis to higher ed. So just jump in.
I'll jump in with one.
Okay.
Just thinking about, since I haven't talked enough already, just thinking about all the business opportunities there are there at Dalton State. What kind of landscape are you seeing as far as what degrees are the students going after nowadays?
I think our top one would be accounting, because people realize that in good times or bad, you still have to be audited. You still have to keep the books. There's some compliance, and the CPA opens a lot of doors to you. So I would have to say that's a very popular degree. And one of the things we do to give back to the community from that program is we do VITA, Voluntary Income Tax Assistance. So our faculty and our students do income tax returns, both the federal and the state, for households that need it. And they really get great experience to put on their resume. And I think our growing degree and our newest degree is our logistics and supply chain. So in the past, where students might pick management as just a general major, and that's a very popular one, I think they're seeing the growth in logistics. But how many of you have purchased every item online since March the 13th? I look back through my scroll of my Amazon purchases and my Chewy.com and my HelloFresh. I don't think I've purchased anything that I didn't buy online. And now we're seeing the intersection of purchasing, logistics, transportation, distribution, and even recycling of all these products. We've got a new minor that's really growing in popularity, and it's the Fintech Minor. And Atlanta leads the nation in jobs in fintech. So that's sort of the intersection between finance and technology. So that's managing the payments and the processing of all these things we've bought online. But when I really look out and watch the interstate, I walk around the business hub. I watch the faculty cleaning and sanitizing the desk between classes, and I'm just looking at all the transportation out there, and I really see that's the future. I think the COVID has made a sea change in some of the majors that are going to be popular. Now, as part of, I see marketing as part of that supply chain too, the beginning, end, and the purchase purchasing. So we have a lot of students that are getting certified in Hootsuite and learning a lot about social media. Savannah, you got our brochure. Can you throw that up? I just wanted to show you the list of our degrees. I didn't pay Josh to ask that question, by the way, but thank you, Josh. So you see our bachelor's degrees. Some of them we offer day and evening as well. Right now, most everything's online. Finance and Applied Economics is another one of our newer degrees. And I think the first 8 graduates from that program were hired by First Bank of Dalton. So the bankers really like the students in this degree. Management, most of those majors tend to get a minor. They can get a minor if they take the courses, elective courses in that minor. For a lot of management majors majoring in HR, COVID in particular has changed the hiring needs for employees. And then management and information systems. So I'd say all our degrees are popular, but I think more people see accounting as a bit more recession proof and the logistics now. And you see our minors there I mentioned about. We had a group, we had 3 study abroads planned. 2 of them were after COVID, so they got canceled. And our group from Lima, Peru, we partner with Centrum University there, another AACSB accredited school in Lima. So we had a group that got in their study abroad this year. But a couple of the things we're doing too, freshmen and sophomores sometimes know they want to be a business major, but like your question, Josh, they don't exactly know which of these 6 BBA degrees or these minors they want to participate in. So we have them job shadow. We're doing a lot of that virtually now, but with some of our community partners, and they'll have an idea of which is the best. And then our juniors and seniors do internships. So you can see a little bit about this. We're ranked by U.S. News and World Report, and we also made a recent list just last week of one of the top 34 best value institutions. We don't like to say low cost. We like to say best value. And Savannah, can we show the front of our brochure? So our tagline is lead boldly in the Wright School of Business. And you've got Lamar Wright's favorite quote. And you asked me who I look up to for mentoring. It's Lamar Wright, and he's got 10 favorite quotes, and they're sprinkled all around our building. They're sort of got the affirmation and the quote on every classroom as you go through the building. But anyway, so that's a long answer to what's our popular majors there, Josh.
Dr. Helms, can you talk a little bit about your partnership with some of the different industries in our local community, and kind of how you work with them and prepare students to go out into the workforce, specifically in the Northwest Georgia area?
Well, Landon, you're one of our better supporters and have had some of these students, I think. So thank you in advance. But yeah, we do. We really stress an internship. We believe students should have work experience, and they're a lot more valuable to you as an employer. So we do several things. We encourage them to have an internship in their junior year after they've completed at least 9 hours in their major. So if they're an accounting major, they'll have had accounting 1 and 2, maybe their first intermediate class, and others, they'll have had their principles classes. And we have a faculty member direct them. We, in fact, pay the faculty member to direct that independent study. So they keep up with them. Did they work the hours? Are they increasing their skill level? And then we have these students do a presentation both to you and your company, and also we have them present to our environment of business. That's our freshman level business class. So we want to make sure that the freshmen know this is something we're expecting of them. We work closely with the business community. I have a business advisory council of 15 of the brightest men and women I could find to guide me in terms of what the needs of businesses are. So we work closely and make sure our students know the software that they're going to be using in the world of work. In the auditing class, for example, they're using IDEA and Tableau. All of our students learn SAP, the Enterprise Resource Management software that most of our large manufacturers are using, Mohawk, Target. So we have groups that work with our industry partners to make sure that our students know the technology, and we buy the technology for a School of Business. We're doing an upcoming fundraiser, and they asked me, what is our biggest need? And I said, it's technology, because our marketing students in social media are Hootsuite certified when they leave us. Students in the project management class have PMI certification. So we're pushing that industry credentialing early. we have a lot of guest speakers, Landon, come to our classes. So we want to make sure that the students know, you know, who they may be working with. In fact, our staffing and talent acquisition and our HR classes are taught by industry professionals that are members of SHRM, the local student Society for Human Resource Management. So when we do use a part-time faculty, it's somebody from industry who can be a portal to help our students get jobs. So the students are worried about getting good grades, but I'm more worried about, are they getting a job and do their needs match with the local community? Because typically about 80 to 90% of our students stay in the local area. So if we don't work closely with business, we have a big mismatch and are doing a disservice. So we spend a lot of time with businesses. Sometimes they'll come to us with project, maybe somebody that's visited us at the Downtown Accelerator where we have a class in a classroom, and we'll bring that as a live case into the class and do a project for them. Students like to work on real world projects, and a couple of features we have in addition to our Biz Hub for training. We have a marketing lab with one-way glass where if you wanted to do a focus group with customers or have students do a focus group for you, we can observe customer reactions. So we've got presentation labs. So we've got a finance lab with computer terminals. So we try to mirror what the world of work is going to look like for these students. And in the professional development class, we have them go to a professional organization, Rotary, Kiwanis, Civitans, lots of area organizations. We take them to an etiquette dinner. They participate in a mock interview and a practice networking event with the community. So we try to make sure they know the theories as well as the soft skills of business. Now, I have had to adjust the handshaking since we're doing the mask and the fist bump for COVID, but we are adapting. And we also require that they do the 10 hours of volunteer service when that's possible, because we know that's a resume enhancement, but we also know that everybody has to give back in the future, and they need to start that early and understand what it means to be a business professional.
Hey, Dr. Helms. My name is Chris Petty.
Hey, Chris.
University of Georgia in logistics supply chain, and currently working with Mohawk Industries as their management trainee position.
Yay.
You mentioned a little bit about what degrees and coursework each one does. I'd love to hear about your logistics and supply chain degree and what classes that they may take and coursework that goes into that. And even if there's any part of data analytics, kind of go into more detail of those classes that they may come across.
Absolutely. You better know Excel and pivot tables. You better know a good bit about data analytics. And we partner with FreightWaves in Chattanooga. So that's sort of the data company that provides the data on logistics and truck movement. We partner with the inland port here adjacent to us in Murray County, so we keep up with the rail traffic. Our students last year competed in a freight tech competition sponsored by FreightWaves, where they got 24 hours to work on a project, and that was where to locate a distribution center and why. And our students competed with MBA students. They didn't separate the graduate from the undergraduate, and our team came in second, so I'm quite proud of what they know about logistics and distribution. We use a case method approach in those classes. We have a lot of speakers visit, but we also make sure they know Sonar. That's the software that Freight Tech and FreightWaves uses. So for example, you're sending a load to Orlando. Why is it so expensive for that load to come back this way? Well, because what's in Orlando? A theme park and retirees, and there's not a lot of manufacturing, so it's hard to get a load coming back to make that efficient. So they learn a lot about the scheduling, the algorithms of scheduling freight, a lot about getting the goods to customers on time. We encourage them to join APICS with student chapter of that. And we encourage them to go to the professional development meetings and talk about that. And I think I saw Vic Marshall on here. He and Mike Dietrich and DK Kim teaching our logistics program. So they're involved with our community partners. And we also make sure they do modules in SAP. So they learn about the enterprise resource management software that they're going to be using when we send them to you, Chris. Was that similar to what you did at UGA?
Absolutely. We had a couple different options that we could take: project management, operations management, and we had a few different fields. And so University of Georgia has a management degree, and then you can choose 3 routes. You can do basic management, human resources, or logistics and operations. And in the logistics operations field, you have probably 7 to 10 different classes that we're able to take during our 2 years of going into our management courses. And so it's really a great opportunity to get the bulk of what Georgia's famous for, of having those management degrees, and then kind of going into something that we want to specialize in even more. And so it's been really helpful, especially here at Mohawk, for sure.
Absolutely. We do a lot with material handling. Before COVID, we did a lot of plant tours. We really like to get students in so they can see some of the problems they'll face in the manufacturing environment and talk about that. So yeah, that's really important. Here's the thing I struggle with, though, a little bit, Chris, and maybe I'll pick your brain on this, is when I go to talk to high school classes. Maybe I go into high school and talk to the FBLA or the JTAE or the CTAE students who are interested in business. It's hard to explain logistics and supply chain management as a degree in a couple of sentences because it's so encompassing. I mean, it goes from purchasing to manufacturing to delivery to the closed loop of recycling. I have a hard time explaining that to younger students. So that's why we're pushing the job shadowing so they can see a little bit more about it. It's easier to explain accounting, for example. So I'm open to your suggestions later. Maybe you email me.
Absolutely. I can shoot you an email, and something that can be extremely simplified is saying that technology and everything is currently being shipped around the world, and pursuing a logistics or operations degree in that form will make that process smoother and more efficient. And they could potentially have a part in kind of making that more effective and efficient. And so it's exciting to see how companies are, moving forward with new ideas in supply chain and how they're kind of going forth by doing that. And so I think it's picking up for sure. Schools across the nation are starting to bring on supply chain degrees and majors and emphasis. And so I'm excited to kind of see the path how it grows over the next decade.
I am as well. And I think I can't explain supply chain without mentioning Amazon when I give the description to students. But you haven't asked, but sort of my hobbies are photography, although I didn't color enhance that photo of Elvis. I have to shout out to George Spence, who's on the call. Thank you, George, for doing that. But my hobbies are sort of photography, and was traveling before COVID. And I like a lot of yard work, but I'm terrible at cooking. So I've discovered HelloFresh, and that's my favorite supply chain story now. So Chris, yesterday afternoon, a big box arrived on the front doorstep with magic picture cards and steps. So hubby Lee Tubbs and I whipped together some salmon, rice, and broccoli last night, and I am dying to see a video of HelloFresh and how they put that kit together. I'm really curious about that, so I hope I can sneak in. We do a lot of tours. We've been to Amazon, to their distribution centers in Cha 1 and 2 in Chattanooga and Charleston. So we get in a lot of carpet and floor covering industries too, but that's one I'd really like to see because they have that perishability factor that I wonder how they do that so well, and everything's recyclable. So it's a neat company, and I'm eating a little better, by the way.
Dr. Helms, I had a question. What are the most important attributes of a successful leader in today's world right now? Things are so different.
I think that list has probably changed since March the 13th, hadn't it? I could give you that standard list of qualities I probably had before that. I would have to say pivoting and some sort of agility to make some quick decisions on the fly has really emerged and moved to the top of the list. In the past, I would say, hey, it's transparency, it's communication, it's integrity, it's being a good listener, to get cooperation from your team and good focus, but it is all jumbled now. So we've had to rush and use some of our CARES dollars to get technology for students, to accommodate faculty, to move to the online teaching environment. So I think all your leadership qualities are still there, but you've added some more, and it's urgent. So, we had about a week and a half to get everybody up to speed to teach online and to manage in this environment and not let students fall through the cracks. So being creative. And one of the things I do is I try to include everybody on every decision. So I'll say, okay, here are the problems. I don't come knowing a solution. I don't expect my team to have a solution. We just have to figure it out together. For example, the one we're working on today, and this has just emerged, students are having trouble downloading a lot of the software. Once they get the software downloaded, they can use it and the faculty can coach them, but everybody's got a different computer, a different operating system. We were in the computer lab here at Dalton State. It was all seamless. They were all the same. So now we're thinking, gosh, we need a standardized computer. We need to make this easier. Maybe we need more staff at our help desk to help these students. So it's issues like that that you haven't even planned for that are coming up on the radar. So they're sort of big, hairy, audacious problems, as they like to call them, that it's hard to get your hands around. And so some of the solutions, you know, I've got a whole group of trusted advisors, starting with Wright, my business advisory council faculty. Sometimes I ask students for solutions too, because they're in the midst of some of the problems I have to solve. But I think being current on technology and reaching out to your team is more important than ever to get them to help you. And Zoom and Teams and all these platforms were clunkier in March, but we're kind of pros at it now and we're learning to use it. But I think you have to be open to change as well, because nothing is the same. My yesterday wasn't the same as today. So you've got to, and I think that's harder as you get a little older, you get set in your ways and you think this ought to be easier. So I think COVID's done us a favor by reminding us that we need to be flexible, we need to be agile, we have to work together, and don't expect things to be static or calm. Let's adjust to change as our new normal.
Hey, Dr. Helms, Parth.
Hey, Parth, how are you?
I'm doing great. It's so good to see you after such a long time.
Oh my gosh, you look great. How's your sister?
She's doing well. She's in Louisville. And
Another one of
Columbus.
our alums that talked to us, Bree, Parth's sister, was one of my adjuncts. So what are you up to?
Hey, I just saw your name. I saw the email. And I said Marilyn Helms is speaking, so I have to attend this. I can't believe it's been 10 years since I've graduated. 2010 graduate.
Beep,
I
beep.
can't believe you. Beep beep. That's right. I can't believe I was one of the fortunate students to be able to attend Dalton State College. And the question I have is two or three questions kind of put together in one. But the quick thing, a comment on what you just said, things keep changing. I read an article yesterday, 52% of Forbes 500 companies that were in year 2000, there are no longer in Forbes 500, 52%. So if you're not changing, if you're not keeping up with the trends, you're going to be somebody else's lunch. It's basically what the article said. So, but the thing I wanted to ask you is, Dalton State College it offers tremendous value, and I was fortunate enough for one of the students to be able to attend and go through the process. So, how has our college been affected with ongoing college tuition and all of those things that are going on in the world with larger schools where we are offering a tremendous value? So, how is our admissions rates and all of that is affected? As well as the second thing I'll ask is, building wealth it's last 10 years, I've just been kind of learning so much about investing and building wealth, and there's so many different ways. What can we do to kind of educate our students to be successful in life? And because those 10 years, they go quick. And if you're investing, you can really build wealth. That's really one of the biggest ways you can create wealth is by investing. So what can we do? And then the third thing would be, what would you like us alumni to do to help you with the current students? We would love to participate. Like I said, 10 years went by just so quick. And I would love to be able to get more involved as part of the reason why I'm joining the call today with the current students. Anything I can do to help. So I'll take your question offline. I'll mute myself. Thank you.
Oh, very good. It's so good to see you, Parth. Nice to see an alumni. Okay, well, let's talk first about your first question about the low cost, best value. It's getting harder, but one of the things we're trying to do is we've got some grants for textbook affordability. That's one of the things that's killing students because the textbooks are pricey and they come with a lot of ancillaries now. So bells and whistles where you can do online quizzes, testing, and they come with a hefty price. So we try to be careful of that because we know our students are on Pell Grants or on Hope, and many of them work, and they work in the service economy. We're working a lot of hours now. So one of the things we probably need from our business community and alumni is some scholarships for books, for studying, because if we know if our students can work fewer hours, they'll do a whole lot better in their studies. But we are trying to keep the program costs low. We're looking at bundling products when we can, going with one publisher exclusively if they'll give us lower costs on books, finding some MOOCs or some open materials that we can use in the classes and having faculty develop some of their own. So that's really important. All right, your question on investing, my colleague next door, Dr. Mike Dietrich, and the Associate Dean, he has a favorite quote and he says, once you graduate, everybody's a finance major. And he's right. You've got to manage your own investments. You've got to keep up with your retirements and your 401ks and 403bs and IRAs. And one of the things we're doing, we've hired a new hotshot finance faculty member, Dr. Corey Shank. And last fall, he did a series of a 3-part series on investing. And we had a lot of Dalton High School students and a lot of local community members. And it's largely teaching you to start saving and the value of compounding. And some of Lamar Wright's favorite quotes are from Warren Buffett. And, you know, Warren Buffett says he puts off getting a haircut because that money he saves could be worth, you know, $500,000 later if he invested that correctly. So we teach students about that to start investing early, and they know compounding, but I think they need to see it, you know, in some actual examples of what it will mean to them. We teach some personal financial planning throughout our courses and emphasize that. One of our favorite banking partners, Mitch Sanford from First Bank of Dalton, speaks to our professional development class, and he has them do a budget, and he just tells them simple things like, okay, you've got a new car, but in 4 to 5 years, you're going to need tires. Have you budgeted for that? Let me grab an Excel spreadsheet and show you how to plan for these recurring expenses. So we try to make students aware of what's going to change when they get to be an adult and try to manage their own portfolio. And that's a tough one. All right, your last one, how you can help. I think you're helping already by being such an accomplished alumni and spreading the word for us. Here's the nut that's a little hard for me to crack right now, is to get in more with the high school students. So some of them locally don't necessarily think of Dalton State except maybe as an afterthought. So I want them to know we're here, we're AACSB accredited, we're in the neighborhood, we've got all 6 of the functional degrees in business, there's not a one we're missing, and what a good experience they can have locally. I still think we're an unknown quantity in South Georgia too, so I think those of you that are from Atlanta South, that part of the state, those kids want to get away from home, but they need to stay in the state for in-state tuition. And we have great student housing and an active student life that continues to grow. Great basketball team, great sports here. And it's nice to be in the mountains, I guess, if you're in South Georgia. So I think we're a little bit unknown. We're getting a reputation out there, but 20 years it truthfully is a short time to get that reputation out. So continue to say good things, come to our alumni basketball games, wear your Dalton State shirt, let me know if you need one, or hey, I might even hook you up with a Dalton State mask here to advertise for us. But I think continue to mentor in classes, volunteer for the Boys and Girls Club, get involved with some high school students and even younger and help them on their path, because we need to train them differently than we have in the past. I used to ask them, hey, what do you want to be when you grow up? Now I usually ask them, what business do you want to start? What problem can you use business to help solve for the world? So I think just being an avid spokesperson and a shining example is very good. So keep up the good work for us.
And Dr. Helms, I have an actual recommendation that we at University of Georgia did with our alumni, and this was specifically for the Terry College of Business, is they put together an alumni mentorship program where they reached out to their alumni and we're able to get 20 to 40 to participate per degree. And then each one of the alumni was assigned 2 to 5 students, just depending on the amount of students that were interested in the semester. And we actually met with the mentors once a month on a 20 to 30 minute virtual call. And this was before COVID. This was 2 to 3 years ago. And I was actually paired up with an SVP from SunTrust. And this was probably some of the most helpful information because they were able to share real world tips and strategies for going into the business world. And even like Parth was mentioning, investing, and just kind of tips of, hey, while you're young, you can start investing, and just the difference that you can make when you're 65 is just tremendous. And some of those life skills along with the business skills that people will often learn a little too late in life. And so it was a great opportunity. And, I would definitely encourage that that's something that Dalton State can look into over the next few years. I think it would be very beneficial to your students and your graduates going into the workforce.
What a good idea. I just wrote that down. We go to Athens quite a bit and spy on the Terry College too. So a couple of things we've borrowed from the Terry College includes our Employer of the Day. We were down there, and one of the things they do is they donate we set aside a time period, either the morning block of time or the afternoon, and it's exclusive to a local employer. So we've had Shaw, Mohawk, Engineered Floors, we've had everybody, local banks come on campus. And so they bring some swag, we give them a table, and they tell students about their industry and careers, and they're looking for interns at that time. So that's been a great program. The other one we borrowed there, Chris, was the ambassador program. So we get our best and brightest juniors and seniors. They have to be in the top 10% of the class and recommended by faculty. They wear a logo shirt, and they help me with everything. They go in the high schools and they help with, when we could do tours, they helped with tours. We had a lot of guests touring our new building. And so they do videos for us for, speaking about their major and their experiences. So yeah, those are some great programs, but we haven't done a lot with the alumni. So I think that mentoring, students like to hear from a near peer, somebody just the next step along the chain. When they hear from a 60-year-old and over faculty, they don't listen quite as closely. It seems too far away. So I think you're onto something there. Somebody closer in age, and just they really listen to outside speakers too. We can tell them something till we're blue in the face, but let a guest speaker come and tell it, and then they're quoting them. So I think that's what we need to do with our alumni. That's an area we're working on growing as well. And now we've got about 2,400 alumni from the Wright School of Business that have bachelor's degrees that I can press into service. Thank you.
Dr. Helms, I know you support United Way, but can you share why giving back to the community is so important for the students and for just anyone?
Well, we're all part of the community, and we all have to work together. And you look around, and you sent me some questions you were interested in, and I started thinking about the people who'd helped me along the way. And they're too numerous to mention. Somebody has to help you, and a lot of these assistantship programs come from our nonprofit community partners. I'm active with Junior Achievement. We're building a Discovery Center here in Dalton, so we're going to have a Dalton State presence there. The Boys and Girls Club do great things about students that need a little help to get them on the path to college. We have to help other people. We have to pull them up because somebody's done that for us, and that's a pattern that we need to get involved in early on. We have an app on our Roadrunner portal for students, and it's called Volunteer Serve, and we have students track their volunteer hours. It's required for a lot of our business classes that they do volunteer work, and students get various awards for doing that. We tally up the hours and the amount of service that people give of their times, but it is just one of the mandates of being a good citizen, of being a good human, is to give back and be involved. We ask that our students belong to a professional organization, that they volunteer. We ask that our faculty also be involved in local professional organizations and community organizations. Our finance faculty do audit the books or do the financial planning for various nonprofits in the area. But the nonprofits are our partner too. We work together with the Downtown Development Authority, the chambers, our Dalton Innovation Accelerator and our Pitch Dalton Innovation Accelerator competition is a public-private partnership. We all sink or swim together, and I think it being a close-knit community and having such close ties to the area and having our students who live and work in this area, it's even more important that they get involved from an early age. And I see our high school feeder partners doing this as well. So I think we're making headway into this area. And I think COVID has exposed some greater needs we have in the area. People who lack internet access for students and mentoring to students. We're even live streaming in some high school classes as speakers and helping with their resume competitions and helping them with interviewing. So I think there's a lot you can do. And sometimes people don't think there's a lot students can do to get involved. And they think students don't have a lot of time. But I think you can't imagine how enriching the volunteer experience is for them. And it helps them on their resume. We have a lot of students that don't have a lot of work experience. Some work too much. And then we have others that don't have much at all. So the volunteer experience is great for them to talk about it in an interview. And when you can motivate people that you're not paying money to, that's quite a great skill to talk about. So it is one of our top priorities for Dalton State, for the Wright School of Business, and for our students.
And I will add, and if you need any volunteer opportunities, United Way does have some virtual options. You can get on our Get Connected site. It's volunteernwga.com. And then we have a lot of opportunities listed from multiple different community partners. They're just looking for different things, virtual options that maybe your students could get involved with. So that's just an option as well of what United Way can offer Dalton State students. And I will ask, how do you continue to grow and develop as a leader, as a kind of final question?
I see some of the challenges we face. So I feel like I am pressured to keep up with the technology. People are always surprised when they come to my office and I'll airdrop a document and they say, you know how to do that? And I said, well, I do, but I wouldn't, except I'm around 866 really smart undergraduate students every day who keep me modern and who keep me current. But I think the professional development opportunities, one of the things I was reading in the Chronicle of Higher Education, and it said these professional developments via Zoom are more inclusive, because sometimes in the past people couldn't afford to go out of town, they didn't have time, or maybe they're caring for children or elderly parents or whatever their responsibilities, and they think people are getting more professional development because we can do it in this new video format that we can do, in sharing the screens and all the technology we have at our disposal. But I would encourage everybody to get as much professional development as they can. For our faculty and staff, we require them to have professional development. We have a database where they report what they've done for professional development and for learning. But I think, we talked about this earlier. If you're not continually learning something every day, you're standing still. And, those companies that were around in the 1900s, if you look at them, there's probably one or two that are still around today. These companies morph, they change. I'm just thinking about how many companies have gone out of business during COVID that we won't see again, and how complicated things are. We can't even get toilet paper. Wall Street Journal was mentioning how we're fortunate to have some toilet paper and paper towels from Mexico delivered to us because we had no more. So I think we're all interrelated, and we've got to solve these bigger problems. There's so many to solve right now, and through professional development, we can stay current. And I think the technology is one I'd push to everybody, because if you don't stay current with this technology, you're left behind. I look at some older friends and relatives, and if you don't have a smartphone and an app, you can't use a coupon anymore, you can't check in, you can't use your loyalty cards for your rewards. So you just have to stay current, and even if it's not your thing, you have to force yourself. We've got a great program called Educational Enhancement, and we offer free classes to members of the community who are over age 62 to come back and take a class if there's space available. So we're having a lot lot more people take advantage of that and come back and take some Excel classes and some computer classes just so they can stay current, some investment classes. And you know, marketing's changed. It's all about social media now. So we have a lot of business owners who will either come take a class or sometimes throw up their hands and say, send me two of your best marketing interns. And we can do it either way. We can help either way. But I think what's really positive is make sure your circle of people who influence you, we always look to a mentor. And I think in the past, we've thought of a mentor as somebody, you know, 20 years older who can give us advice. But I would encourage you for your circle of friends and mentors to have people from all ages and all backgrounds, and they can offer you some of that professional development and keep you current. Josh, you were mentioning our exchange child, Maud. Maud coaches me all the time on some technology I can't seem to figure out, or all I got to do is walk out the door here and grab a student if I can't figure out something on the phone. But you know, we all are trainable. I think sometimes you think I can't learn anything new, and that's not true. We're learning a lot. Think of all the things you've learned since March the 13th when we went on COVID lockdown. So I would just stress everybody to keep learning and learn in different directions. Okay, so I'm a business professor and a dean, and I read a lot of trade publications, but I read outside the area too. Read some historical books and literature, read in a wide variety of area, read in some emerging future trends. Be sure you've read the popular press business books that are emerging. I really like Leaning In and Grit, and I like some TED Talks and podcasts. So try to read a little more wildly. And if you're a business major and you're not reading the Wall Street Journal every day, shame on you. Get to reading, because I think you spot trends and you can put patterns together. And that's how you come up with the next latest, greatest business idea and get to be a success. And I want everybody to be a millionaire and write a big check to the Wright School of Business back here, right? So I want everybody to keep up with their professional development and stay smart and help us solve some of the challenges we're facing now and as we go into the future.
Thank you. I appreciate all your answers today, and I thank you for being here today. As a Dalton State alumni just very recently, I'm very excited to have you here today and come and speak on behalf of the Young Leaders Society of Northwest Georgia. If Josh or Landon, if y'all want to just kind of give some closing remarks, and we'll close out for today.
Thanks again, Dr. Helms. Thanks everyone for joining. I hope that you got something out of it. And if you're looking for more opportunities like this as a young professional, reach out to us. We'd love to have you join up with us. I know times are different, but we're going to come out of this. We will. We're resilient as humans, so I'm not worried about that. But we have opportunities for you now. So reach out to us. We'll let you get back to work. It's 12:59, so we're going to stop before 1 o'clock. Thank you, Dr. Helms, very much. We appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thank you. My pleasure.